Welcome to episode 97 of the Selling Your Screenplay podcast. I'm Ashley Scott Myers, screenwriter and blogger over at sellingyourscreenplay.com. Today I'm interviewing Gustavo Cooper, who recently wrote a horror thriller film called June. It's another great example of a low-budget genre film. We dig into the details of how he got this film made, and we also talk a bit about his career and how he got started as a writer and director. So stay tuned for that. If you find these episodes valuable, please help me out by giving me a review in iTunes or leaving a comment on YouTube or retweeting the podcast on Twitter or liking us on Facebook. These social media shares really do help spread word about the podcast, so they are very much appreciated. A couple of quick notes. Any websites or links that I mention in the podcast can be found on my blog in the show notes. I also publish a transcript with every episode in case you'd rather read the show or look at something later on. You can find all the podcast show notes at www.sellingyourscreenplay.com/podcast, and then just look for episode number 97. If you want my free guide, How to Sell a Screenplay in 5 Weeks, you can pick that up by going to sellingyourscreenplay.com/guide. It's completely free. You just put in your email address and I'll send you a new lesson once per week for 5 weeks, along with a bunch of bonus lessons. I teach the whole process of how to sell your screenplay in that guide, how to write a professional logline and query letter, how to find agents, managers, and producers who are looking for material. It really is everything you need to know to sell your screenplay. Again, just go to sellingyourscreenplay.com/guide. Quick few words about what I'm working on. I've been working on editing the teaser trailer. I've mentioned before I have a crime action thriller that I'm thinking of producing next year, and I'm going to launch a Kickstarter campaign. So I shot a trailer a few weeks ago. I'm now in the process of editing it. I have kind of a rough version edited. I have working with a sound editor to hopefully improve the sound quality and just do a sound edit. You know, all the incidental music, sound effects, that kind of thing. That's not something I'm really an expert at. So I'm just getting hopefully an expert's opinion on that. I did a little quick research, and it looks like on Kickstarter launching in January and having it end in February. So that means, you know, probably launching like somewhere in that second week of January, and then it'll end the second week of February. You go for 30 days. That seems like the best, just statistically speaking, that seems like the best time to launch a Kickstarter campaign. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for. It looks like the holidays, the November, December, as you might imagine, was in terms of getting your Kickstarter campaign funded, it was those were the worst months. And that kind of stands to reason. People get busy with the holidays and stuff. So I'm not in any rush, so I'm thinking I'll just launch my Kickstarter campaign in January and then probably shoot in April or May, something like that. Once we have all the money together, you know, that'll be mid-February, and then a couple months of pre-production, getting actors cast, getting locations, all that stuff. So February, March, April, and then shooting maybe mid-April or early May would kind of be the timeline that I'm looking at right now. I'm still waiting to get some notes back from the producers who I wrote the comedy Spoof. I've been talking about this script the last couple of weeks on the podcast. I wrote a script for them. It's a comedy spoof, and one of the producers, his wife had a baby, so he's tied up with that, which is completely understandable. The other producer did call me, just said they've been busy, you know, the one producer having the baby, and then just busy on some other things. So they're getting me some notes. He seemed reasonably positive with the script. It sounds like the main thing is just it's a spoof, so it's really got to be very broad comedy. So it seems like the main note I'm going to get is we just have to go larger with the comedy. So that's kind of what I'm going to probably be doing on the next pass. But I don't have the notes back, but hopefully this week I'll get those notes back, and then I will dig back into that script. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. So now let's get into the main segment. Today I'm interviewing Gustavo Cooper. He wrote a film called June. It's a horror thriller genre script. I think it's an interesting film to look at in terms of what is selling in this marketplace. So check that out if you get a chance. Here is the interview. Welcome, Gustavo, to the Selling Your Screenplay podcast. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
So to start out, maybe you can just give us a little background, kind of how you got into the entertainment industry and eventually worked your way up to writing and directing this latest film, June.
So to give you guys a little bit of backstory on where I sort of started, it all stems from skateboarding. I grew up a skateboarder. Been skating for almost 16 years, and the way the way you got sponsored and the way you got recognized was by making your little videos and like sending videos out. So me and my friends used to run around filming each other, and we had to figure out how to edit, and we had to figure out how to shoot so everyone could see what we were doing. And then the better quality, the better the better chance of you getting sponsored. So that's how I got into filmmaking, and it sort of escalated from filming my friends to getting offers to have my own skate show with big skate brands, to going, oh wow, I could do this and make money, and then in music videos, and I was like, I should probably go to school for this, and then it was like, it just kept escalating until I won this award for doing some music video stuff, and then I was like, at that point, I just realized I really wanted to try to tell a story, because that's hard, and it went from shorts, doing some shorts, to going, oh well, let's try to do something a little more longer format, and then it was sort of this progression and this evolution of wanting to challenge myself over and over and over.
Yeah. At what point did you go from kind of being a, hobbyist to actually getting paid? You mentioned some music videos. Were you actually getting paid jobs as directing music videos?
Yeah. I actually did before I did my first movie, I did about 170 something commercials.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the short films that you did. Did you enter these in contests? What did you do to kind of promote those films, and move your career along with them?
The short films?
Yeah.
The short films were just kind of word of mouth. The one that got me the most sort of recognition was a film called Velvet Road, and that was a zombie apocalypse take. It was like it took place on during the 1960s, 70s, during the civil rights movement, and like what if the zombie apocalypse broke out during that time period in the Jim Crow South. So it was such a different sort of idea, and I think we did a really great job executing it. People sort of took notice to me then, and that allowed me to do my first feature.
Okay. And what exactly did you do with it? Did you just put it on YouTube, tell all your friends to pass it along to their friends? Was that literally the marketing?
No, I did the festival route.
Okay, you did festivals. Okay.
Yeah, I did the festival route, and then I also I did that too, though. Like I did a bunch of Vimeo stuff, and then it got passed to bloggers, and then there's still producers to this day that see that and go, oh, we should do something together. It's still it's that sort of calling card / business card for me.
Yeah. Okay, great. So let's dig into your latest film, June, kind of a horror thriller film. Maybe to start out, you can give us like a quick pitch or a log line of it in case people haven't seen the trailer yet.
June is a story about an orphan child that's bouncing around the social security system, I guess. Like she's in and out of foster homes, right? And she's a 10-year-old who has not only a really hard time making friends, but she's has an imaginary friend that is actually another soul living inside of her, and she treats it as if it's a dog on a leash. And the poor girl just really wants to be loved and to find a place in the world, and that's sort of what this film is about this little girl who has this really scary animal, inside of her that when the emotional wall comes down, it terrorizes people.
Okay, and maybe you can take us through sort of the process of writing this script. Let's start out just with where did the germ of an idea come from for this?
It actually stemmed from a couple of different things. Akira, Firestarter, Kennedy Bryce herself, the actress. I really fell in love with an audition that she did for another movie And I thought this would be really great. But I mean, other than, these sort of influences, I had a personal interest with the film itself. I spent a little bit of time in foster care, and as a kid I was very angry, and I knew like that anger was very powerful, and it was not something, it was something that needed to be controlled. And the idea was like, what if you couldn't, like, it's sort of like the Hulk, like what if you just couldn't control this and it became, you were another thing. So there was a bunch of different influences for June, and it all seemed to culminate at the same time for me.
I'm curious. I spend a lot of time as a screenwriter talking to producers and kind of trying to figure out what it is they want. How much of that kind of thing influenced it? And as an example, I mean, this is kind of a horror thriller. I think there's, definitely kind of a commercial angle to something like this. How much did that play into? Is it just kind of the movie that you wanted to tell and it happened to have some commercial viability, or
I think I without sounding like a pretentious prick, I think I lean towards the commercial side. My stuff tends to feel like a little slicker than like a normal indie, I guess. And I think it has a lot to do with my commercial background and my music video background. I know how to make a little bit of money look really big, So June, actually, I appreciate you saying that, but I think it could have been even more commercialized. I was definitely limited in the time and resources I had, and the producers did a great job. And when the co-writer Sharon Cobb, when we approached this, we definitely had more of a move. There was a movie we wanted to make. It wasn't necessarily like, how do we sell this cool idea? You know what I mean? It was just, I made the short and got everyone really excited about the proof of concept. And then after I made the proof of concept, that's when we wrote the script for the feature, and everyone got excited about that idea. So I think really the proof of concept is what stemmed everything, it was sort of this down and dirty telekinesis gummo.
Yeah. So take us through the writing process a little bit. You mentioned your co-writer, Sharon Cobb. I've written scripts with other people, so I'm always curious just to hear how co-writing partnerships go. Do you guys sit in the same room and spitball ideas? One person's at the computer. Are you at different things? Do you assign scenes? Kind of how does that process work for you guys, and how did it work specifically for this script? Well,
Sharon is located in she's located in Florida, so the script is the writing process for us is a bit different. It's kind of, we work in shifts, so like generally what happens is I dump out this idea. I come to Sharon with it. Sharon says, oh, I like this. I don't like that. I like that. I like this. This is what we can do. And then she works on it.
When you say dump out that idea, is it like in a Word file, like you send her an email with this sort of loose outline of the story, or you actually like pump out a first draft of a script and send that to her?
No, it's usually, we work in a big sort of, we're big fans of treatments and beat sheets. So like usually it starts at a beat sheet, we work out the beats, then we pump it up, we get this almost, novel-esque like treatment. And by the time we have our treatment, we have our movie. We're just essentially filling in the gaps at that point. And that's sort of how we've been working back and forth for the last couple of years. We just finished another movie that I am scheduled to direct in December called Who's in the Dark. And that was, I've learned that the separation, I've only been living out in LA for about a year. But the separation from Sharon has been a lot harder to do on some occasions because we are not in the same room, and you don't always get that face-to-face interaction that can articulate the things that you want to do. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of it's got its ups and downs, but it's been working so far.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take it sort of to the next step. You guys wrote this script. You mentioned the short. You did kind of a proof of concept. What was your next step once you finished the feature film script? Who did you take it to, and how did you actually start to get it out there and raise the money for this?
For the proof of concept, what I did is I told Raven Banner, which is this producing partner based out of Canada, that I wanted to do this spot, or I wanted to do this proof of concept, and they said, okay, great, that sounds cool, but you only have a month because we're going to Berlin, so good luck. So I got this. I got some money from a guy who's a very generous producer friend of mine named Dwayne Sykes, and he set me up, and we shot the proof of concept, and I turned it into the guys, and they were really shocked that I got something together that quickly. So from that point, we went to Berlin, got everyone super excited, said, hey, this is the next movie we're doing. We're teaming up with Raven Banner. Raven Banner backed it. Everyone said, holy shit, like, we want to see what this is. I'll start putting in some pre-sales or pre-buys and everything. We stood back, stood our ground, and went and shot the movie, got an investor on board because he saw the opportunity, I guess, and next thing, like 3 months later, we were shooting a movie, and that's kind of how it got going.
And take us through a little, just quickly, how did you get this investor? What kind of a relationship did you have with that person, and how did you get him on board?
He was a fan of the short Velvet Road, and he was a friend of a friend, and it was actually the producers Gregor Hapsburg and Jackie Hapsburg who came on ultimately to executive produce the film.
Okay. And when you start to talk about you're getting some of these pre-sales, at that point, did you have any cast attached to it, or was it just this?
Just a girl.
Okay. Just a little girl. But Casper Van Dien, nothing like that. He wasn't attached yet.
No, Casper wasn't attached yet. Victoria Pratt wasn't attached yet. Eddie Jameson wasn't attached yet. It was later on when we got those guys to come into the process, and I think we sort of won them over. In all this, they were really excited about some of my work and the people involved, and it all sort of came together.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you had this distributor already on board as well. Once you were shooting the movie, basically the distributor was already going.
We had a sales agent. We didn't have a distributor.
Okay. So
he was a sales agent.
Okay. And take us through, once you're done with the film, did you guys send it to some film festivals? There's a lot of horror film festivals out there. Did you go to any festivals or do anything like that?
Sorry. We did. We didn't do much of a festival, run or whatever. It's actually being released in October 6th. So by the time we finished the film and how quick they wanted to release it, we literally had like a month or two, and by the time that happened, all the festivals were pretty much not taking anything, But we did have a bunch of interest, and it was exciting at the time, but unfortunately, it just didn't do the festival rounds.
Yeah, sure. So tell us what's next for you. You've mentioned you've got another film lined up. Is it another similar horror thriller type movie?
This is actually going to be like I would say my first real horror.
Okay.
This one's going to be, my intention is to scare the audience and to get the audience on their toes. It's going to have some similar family-like themes, and the sort of emotional things that I like to play with, the loneliness and the separation, dysfunctional family-like things, but it's definitely a lot scarier.
Okay. And how did you get that one lined up? Was that based on your success with this one, or did you shoot another proof of concept?
That was based on the script.
Okay. You wrote the script and the same writing partner, and then you guys sent that out.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe you can take us through that process of getting that script out there. Who did you send it to, and how did you get it? This
one was not through the studios or anything like that. This one was actually from a friend of a friend. Like a friend told me that some guys were looking for a movie to shoot, and I shot the script over. They loved it, and next thing you know, it was optioned, and we're off to the races.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect. Okay, so that's interesting to hear. Maybe you can just tell us quickly, how can people see June? What's the release dates? Video on demand, theatrical, any dates you can just spit out will be helpful.
October 6th, it goes to iTunes and I think just all the VOD outlets, and then Redbox is the 12th.
Okay, perfect. And I always like to end the interviews with just asking people how people can keep up with you. If you have a Twitter handle, you can mention that, a Facebook page, a blog, anything really you feel comfortable sharing. Just let us know, and people can join along and keep up with you.
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at El Gustavo Cooper. And Facebook is El Gustavo Cooper. I post a lot of stuff on there too.
Okay, perfect. I'll round that stuff up. And I assume June has probably a Facebook and a Twitter account as well.
You can follow everything there. I think it's June the Movie, at June the Movie.
Perfect. I'll round that stuff, put it in the show notes. Gustavo, again, well done with the movie. I watched it a couple of days ago. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So well done on that. I wish you luck with it. And thanks for coming on and talking with me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care.
Bye. I just want to mention two things that I'm doing at Selling Your Screenplay to help screenwriters find producers who are looking for material. First, I've created a monthly newsletter that will be sent directly to producers. Every member of SYS Select can submit one logline per newsletter. I went and I emailed my large database of producers. I talk about this quite often. I have a large database of producers. I sell email and fax blasts to that database. So I just went and I emailed that large database of producers and said, listen, I run Selling Your Screenplay. Would you like to receive a monthly newsletter from the screenwriters at Selling Your Screenplay, and we'll email it to you. And so far I have got thousands of producers on this list that we're sending to, but so far I've had close to 200. I think we're at about 170, 180 producers so far have signed up to receive this newsletter. And these producers, again, they've explicitly said, yes, I want to receive pitches from screenwriters. They're actively looking for material. So these are real good fits for this kind of thing. They're waiting for this newsletter. So if you have a logline, this is a good way to get it out there to producers. And all you got to do is join SYS Select, which you can do by going to sellingyourscreenplayselect.com. And secondly, I've partnered with one of the premier paid screenwriting lead services so that I can syndicate their leads to SYS Select members. There are lots of great paid leads coming in to us through this partner. We currently are receiving, I would say, anywhere from 8 to 12 high quality paid leads per week. These are producers. These leads are from producers and production companies who are actively looking for screenwriters. They're either looking for spec scripts to produce, or in a lot of cases, they're looking to hire a screenwriter to write a project that they're currently working on. Maybe they have a treatment, maybe they have a book that they've optioned and they need a screenwriter to turn it into a screenplay. Those are the sorts of leads that are coming in. There are occasionally some producers looking for shorts. So this is a great way. If you have a short script, it's a great way to get it out there. But really, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of very specific types of leads. The producer might have a particular actor or a particular location, and so they're looking for scripts that might fit those needs. Very specific types of leads. And if you have a script that fits what they need, you have a real good shot at it actually getting read and considered, because these leads are not going out to everybody in Hollywood. They're only going out to our partner, and they're only going out to SYS Select members. So if you want to learn more about that, just go to sellingyourscreenplayselect.com. Again, that's sellingyourscreenplayselect.com. Also, I recently set up a success stories page for people who have used various SYS Select services and had some success with them. So if you want to check out what other people are saying about SYS Select, go to sellingyourscreenplay.com/success. Again, that's sellingyourscreenplay.com/success. Also, if you've had some success with one of the services that we offer, please do let me know. It's very inspiring to hear these success stories, so I'd love to hear your experience with the SYS Select services. It's sometimes very hard to follow up with everybody, and I know that there are people out there that have optioned stuff, and I don't necessarily ever hear about it, because sometimes I'll hear about it, 6 months later, just on a whim, or someone will come back and do another blast. Say, oh yeah, I ended up optioning my first script, so I'm going to do another blast. So I know there's got to be people out there that are having some success with the services that I'm offering, but I don't necessarily know about it. So if you don't mind sharing your story, please do email me. I'd love to hear it. If it's you've actually gotten something sold and produced, I'd love to actually get you on the podcast, and we can actually walk through how that all transpired. These are great stories to share. They're inspiring, and they're very nuts and bolts, so they can help a lot of other writers. So next week on the podcast, I'm going to be interviewing a screenwriter named Dan Kay. He recently wrote a horror thriller script called Pay the Ghost, which stars Nicolas Cage. This is another good interview. We dig into the specific movie that he just wrote and was produced, called Pay the Ghost, and we also dig into his the early part of his career, his background, kind of how he got into the business, and how he eventually got to the point where he is writing a screenplay that stars Nicolas Cage. So keep an eye out for that episode next week. Just a quick reminder about the upcoming 100th episode. I mentioned this last week. I'll mention it again. I thought it might be interesting for the 100th episode to answer some listener questions. So if you have any screenwriting related questions, please send them in, and I'll answer them on the on a podcast, the 100th episode podcast episode. Put something in the subject line like 100th episode question. I want to do something a little different for the 100th episode, and I thought this might be something fun to try. No question is too tough as long as it's screenwriting related. Any questions about podcast episodes, maybe something wasn't clear, any just general screenwriting related questions, techniques about writing, something about marketing, anything about marketing your screenplays, really anything. The sky's the limit. Anything screenwriting related, just email those questions in to me. My email address is info@sellingyourscreenplay.com. Again, put something in the subject line like 100th podcast episode, just so I know that that's how you want that question answered. Anyway, that's the show. Thank you for listening.